Hello, welcome back to Kessen 3. We are moving on with Chapter 2, and I'm doing something a little different this time in that I'm doing my recording not live, I'm doing it post-commentary because I want to talk about some more of the history and it's going to give me a chance to do that. So the battle we're facing today is the Muraki skirmish against the Matsudaira army. I think this is a non-historical battle because Matsudaira did not fight any battles until 1558 and it's currently only 1556. Matsudaira was one of the most important characters in the legend of Nobunaga and in the historical tale. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about Motoyasu Matsudaira. But yes, I think this battle is thrown into the game just to introduce him as a character.
Our planning is done.
And to show the relationship between him and Nobunaga, of which there may have actually been one. I'm not sure on this actually, but there is some potential for him to have known Nobunaga in real life. But we'll see how that unfolds.
My lord is friends with Lord Nobunaga.
Takamatsu Honda there is also important.
I have joined the Imagawas. The past has no relevance.
They've escaped!
So Matsudaira was a hostage of Oda. And how he came to be that isn't explained in the game, but I'll explain during the battle.
I'm a hostage. Why did you help me?
I'm sorry I couldn't free you. But don't you feel better now?
Yeah. Do you think if I learn to run faster, I'll become free?
Sure. If that is what you
I think that scene is almost based on a real event.
Everything changed then.
I'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Of running free. That feeling of release after. It's like my heart caught fire. I, who had been so caught up in my fate as a hostage. It just never occurred to me that someday I'd be forced to meet him in battle.
Note that Nobunaga's carrying a long spear.
Takechiyo, even now you
The long spear was one of the innovations of Nobunaga, especially given to Ashigaru soldiers. Ashigaru soldiers is something I want to talk about more as well. Hopefully we'll have time in the battle.
Let us begin.
So first we're in the War Council.
What say our scouts? Our scouts
Matsudaira has taken up arms against us. The game doesn't really explain why, but I'm going to explain why, because I think it's necessary to know. First, let's see his position.
We shall win this battle by defeating the Imagawa commander, Motoyasu Matsudaira. Matsudaira has positioned
So his position can be flanked from both sides, and the game makes that pretty obvious. We're going to use that.
These men from Mikawa appear to be confident. My lord Nobunaga.
Not the sort of advice he would have taken, of course.
My lord, how shall we deploy?
So I'm going to go ahead and start my deployment. You don't get much choice at this stage in the game. Anyway, let me talk about Motoyasu a little bit. Motoyasu, like, why was he a hostage of Oda, and why are we fighting him now? These were the questions that went through my mind when I first played this game. And I don't think the game explains it, but they are important for both actually understanding the game and for the historical perspective. So Matsudaira is actually the name of a clan to the west, not the west, the east, sorry, of the Oda clan. And it basically was being invaded by the Imagawa clan. They were constantly at war. Like most people, everyone seemed to be at war with the Imagawa clan. But what happened was the Oda clan in like 1540s, late 1540s, invaded the Matsudaira territory from the west. This would have been Nobunaga's father, I believe, who instigated this. And
understood.
Yeah, as a result,
we can all concentrate on fighting. All right.
Sorry,
let's move out.
I don't like talking
Remember,
over the game
we
speech.
fight for the land.
Yeah, as a result, the Matsudaira were forced to ally with Imagawa to face off Oda. And as part of this alliance deal, oh, let's just watch this.
Do not leave any regrets behind. Follow me.
Part of the alliance deal, as I was saying, Motoyasu Matsudaira was sent to the Imagawa as a hostage. And when Nobunaga Oda's father heard of this, Nobuhide,
Now is our chance.
I think it was Nobuhide, he sent out an attack group to capture Motoyasu, like capture the hostage while it was on the way to Imagawa, and then in turn take him hostage for Oda. So that's how Matsudaira ended up being part of the Oda clan, basically. It was... well, it was a bit strange. The idea behind Nobuhide's thinking was to take him hostage and then threaten to kill him unless his father, the head of the Matsudaira clan, cancelled his alliance with the Imagawa clan. But unfortunately, Motoyasu's father was just like, well, I'm going to sacrifice my son instead to show my loyalty to Imagawa, so it sort of backfired. But luckily, Nobuhide decided not to kill Motoyasu in the end and just keep him as a hostage for years and years. So he managed to survive these experiences. And we saw in the game earlier that it claimed Nobunaga tried to free him, and it's probably true because it was Nobunaga who freed him in the end as part of a deal with the Imagawa. He gave him back as a hostage to Imagawa in order to prevent Imagawa invading, and this happened when Nobunaga was about 16. It's before this game, so that's possibly what that flashbacky cutscene was referring to. You can see here in the game I discovered this letter talking about gunpowder, and it became pretty obvious what that meant. Later on, they're raising some gunpowder traps on the map. Things are going pretty well so far. I've smashed through the first couple of units, taking almost no damage. I'm pushing up the left side with Kicho and Katsuye, and I'm moving up the center with the aid of Tokichiro. You can see Tokichiro successfully rampaged just then. And I'm going to spoof, well, basically right up the center. So I've talked about how Motoyasu ended up as a hostage, and I just mentioned that he was sent back over to Imagawa, and that's basically at the core of why we're fighting him now. Because he went back to Imagawa and was still a hostage. He was a hostage from when he was about 6 years old to when he was about 16, I think. See, Kicho did a nice charge through my ranks without knocking everyone down this time, so that was pretty good. Yeah, from when he was 6 to about 16. And when he came of age, at about 15, 16, in the Imagawa clan, they recruited him as a general, and he became one of their commanders. Well, not necessarily willingly. They took his wife and I believe one of his children hostage and just said, "You're now our commander, mate." So that's how they recruited him as a general, and they sent him off to fight Oda, and he would fight Nobunaga Oda scores of times. The first one occurring, it was a siege battle, I think, occurring in 1558, so slightly after the battle as it's presented in the game, and it wasn't a siege battle, but it was a siege battle, whereas in the game it's just a normal field assault. That's basically the difference. I think it mentions in the game that he was under duress from the hostage situation. So now you can see I'm moving up the right flank, the passage up the mountains. It had a whole ton of bow towers and enemy units on it. I'm just spamming my buffs to try and make it a little bit easier to push past them quickly, because Kicho and Katsuye are already in position to make the flank attack on the enemy's main camp. So I want to just push up here as fast as possible, because you do get ranked on how quickly you complete the level.
Just gave your last order.
Enemy general gets pretty angry that he got debuffed, but he's having a fun time. So moving up there in the main camp, it's basically just Motoyasu and his retainer, Takamatsu Honda, I think his name is, or I just call him Honda. And Honda is one of the great generals of the era, just like Katsuye Shibata. He was a retainer of Motoyasu, later Ieyasu, who was the same person, by the way.
I lost.
He was known for his exquisite spear that he used in battle and the antlers he had on his helmet. I think we'll see him in a moment, see the antlers on his helmet. He had a very special spear called the Tombugiri, which I think means something like Dragonfly Slayer, or something like that. The idea was that it was so sharp and such a fine blade that if a dragonfly were to land on it, it would be cut in two. And they call that spear one of the 3 great spears of Japan, because of its exquisite craftsmanship. And you can see just on the left there were some barrels on the ground, and that was the gunpowder that the letter towards the beginning was talking about. So what I'm doing is trying to get around that gunpowder. I could get Kicho around. I didn't know whether Katsuye would make it around, because he doesn't follow my exact path, but he managed to avoid it. And I take up position on the edge of their camp, ready to assault. So you can see now I've got them surrounded there, facing the wrong way. So I give the order to attack the Kicho and move Nobunaga up. Personally, I think I did the timing a little bit wrong, because Kicho gets into the camp far before Nobunaga does. I messed it up a little bit. I should have started them from the same distance from the center of the camp, really. So he is compelled to fight Nobunaga from the hostage situation we saw earlier. So Honda is the other unit there with him. He's a very powerful unit in this game, representing his his high-level samurai skills in real life. Takamatsu Honda. It was Takamatsu. I think I remembered his name right. Takamatsu Honda was actually one of the few samurai in all of Japan that Nobunaga Oda personally praised. He was known for never really praising his retainers, but Takamatsu Honda, who wasn't even one of his retainers, he was prepared to praise because he was such a great samurai. Called him a samurai among samurai. There are actually quite a lot of legends about Honda. They say that he was never wounded in battle. Was one of the legends. He took place in pretty much all the major battles of this era. Like, he was a really present person. He was very influential. At this stage in his career that we're seeing in the game, he's actually still relatively unknown. As he was a retainer to Motoyasu at this stage, but he wasn't famous. His abilities hadn't been recognized. But he
accept their weaknesses.
Oh, you can see I went to a rampage there. It's a bit awkward to cut, unfortunately. Yeah, so Nobunaga went rampage against Takamatsu. I remember I didn't manage to defeat Takamatsu. He was very powerful in the rampage. He was taking me down. Nobunaga actually almost died. And if you die in a rampage, it reduces your health, and by health I mean the opposite state. So like they go from being normal to being wounded, and it gives all sorts of problems. I think the main thing it does is it stops your skill points coming back as fast, so you can't use the special abilities like I'm using now as often if you're in poor condition. You can see I'm using magic attack at this stage. I've learnt magic attack, so I'm bringing down lightning strikes, and I believe earlier I might have used the freeze ability, which brings down ice. That's just stab into the enemies. I paused here because I was trying to check something off camera, sorry. Yes, I was talking about the legends of Honda. He is, never received a wound, and his legendary spear were the things he was known for. But you can see here in the bottom right the antler horns he has on his helmet. And that was the other thing he was known for. He specifically wore them so people would know who he was in battle. So I think that's it's not too uncommon to try and distinguish yourself. Putting things on your helmet was one of the main samurai traditions. Try to scare your opponent with helmet decorations or scary masks and things like that was very common as part of samurai armor.
Takechiyo!
So here we see Nobunaga, and he calls him Takechiyo.
You haven't changed at all,
That was his
Lord
childhood
Nobunaga.
name, by the way.
Now,
So his name is
On to
Motoyasu,
battle.
as I've said.
come!
They have a little battle. Nobunaga just owns him.
What I'd really like to cut is the fate that keeps you from my side. Someday I
A
will.
very
I promise.
cheesy line. Very cheesy line. They've got a bit of a bromance going there, basically. It almost brings a tear to the eye. And we can see that Motoyasu is also wearing the same spiked helmet that Kicho now wears. So they got a little bit of a link going there.
Battle is over.
Perhaps
Everybody,
more than
you
a
fought
link.
well.
Ooh. So he tells them they fought well. Sounds a little bit sarcastic as he says it. And that's the end of the battle. Managed to defeat all the enemy officers. I think we're going to get some pretty good loot. Got a really good score. You see the first 3 categories got 100%, and then didn't do so well for troop skills thanks to my friendly fire. But I got a rank S. I got this Agalok Juzu, the helmet of serene courage. That was the helmet that Takamatsu Honda was wearing, so it's now mine. I can equip it to one of my characters to make them look awesome, and a bunch of generic levels up. Tokichiro Kinoshita is someone I want to level up quite a lot just because he's historically important. I am going to focus on training who I regard to be the significant characters in the game. You get lots of characters who aren't significant, who I basically won't remember and I'll just be ignoring.
The Matsudaira put up quite a fight, didn't they?
Imagawa has taken his wife and children
There we go.
hostage. He has to fight to
So that
win.
was his motivation.
I pity them. They have lost their land. But that could happen to us too.
So Mori's being pretty pessimistic, but it's not going to happen to us, guys. Come on. We got Nobunaga Oda on our side.
Around the same time that Nobunaga was unifying Owari under
By the
his
way,
rule, the
those
neighboring
3
Imagawa
levels
had
took
just
place
sent off a
over the
large
course
force
of
to the
about
capital
9
in order
years,
to
which
gain
wasn't made
control
clear.
of the political
It
situation
took him
there.
9 years to pacify Owari.
The Imagawa force was 10 times the size of the Oda forces.
This is true.
There was no doubt in anyone's mind that the minuscule Oda clan of Owari would soon be no more than a memory.
So Oda had about 3,000 troops, Imagawa about 25,000 troops.
My lord! A lead force from Imagawa has entered Okazaki Castle!
What?
My lord, what if we move through Marune and Washizu and meet the enemy head on?
No! We wouldn't stand a chance!
Got a better idea, Potato Samurai?
We must fight a defensive battle.
Yes. We can fort up and wait until their supplies run out. It's the only way.
We'd last only a few days by forting up. We will be totally wiped out if we move to the attack. So, what
I like how he said fort up.
Well then, we surrender to
Fort up,
Imagawa,
boys.
and then we bide our time until
Maybe that would be for the best. Right now, we're just too weak. Our force is too small.
So even those eyes are blinded when the fates
So
abandon.
Nobunaga decides to go to sleep in response to this crisis. Pretty weird reaction. Probably not the reaction you would have gone for. In reality, you would have taken it pretty seriously, I imagine. So now we're about through to the planning stage, and we're going to see a new battle has emerged, which will be the final battle of this chapter. So that's what we're going to head to next, basically.
My lord,
It's,
this
the
is
decisive
the
battle
current
against the
situation.
massive Imagawa army, where Oda looks sure to be wiped out, but maybe things will go a little bit differently, who knows. So it's the battle of Okihazama, Nobunaga's first major battle. You can see it says / Matsudaira army. That is a falsification. They were not at this battle. I'll talk about that when we actually do the fighting. So let's get ready and then head off to this final assault. I like how it's final. We're not going to die, guys. Are we?